It was a quiet morning on Earth. The blue planet floated in space, peaceful and unaware of the storm coming. Above it, in Earth's Defense Command, Captain Elias Kane stood at the large glass window. His sharp eyes watched the stars. He had a feeling today would not be easy. Elias was a tall man with short black hair and a serious face. He had spent years in the military, rising to command Earth's defense fleet. He was known for his calm mind and sharp thinking. He cared deeply for Earth and its people. The room behind him was full of officers. They were waiting for a message from the Galactic Consual Senate. A few days ago, the Senate had sent a warning. Today, they promised to send their final decision. Everyone felt the weight of it. "Message coming in, sir," an officer said. Elias turned and faced the large hollow screen in the center of the room. The Senate's symbol, a golden star with 3 rings, appeared first. Then, the face of Chancellor Varek filled the screen. Varek was tall, with pale blue skin and cold silver eyes. He was the leader of the Senate, the voice of more than 50 alien worlds. "People of Earth," Varek began, his voice smooth but firm. "The Galactic Consual Senate has voted. We demand that Earth disarm all its military forces. You have 30 standard days to comply." The officers in the room shifted uncomfortably. Some whispered among themselves. Elias stayed silent, watching Varek closely. "If you fail to obey," Varek continued, "the Senate will cut all trade and technology support. You will lose access to our star routes, our markets, and our protection. You will be left alone." Varek leaned closer. His cold eyes seemed to stare right into the room. "We give you this choice for the sake of peace. Do not test our patience." The message ended. The screen went dark. The room stayed silent for a moment. Then the voices began to rise. "They can't do this," one officer said. "We need the Senate's trade," another argued. "If we give up our weapons, we have nothing left," someone shouted. Elias raised his hand. The room grew quiet again. "They knew we would fear this," Elias said calmly. "That is why they speak of peace while holding a knife to our throat." He turned to his second-in-command, Commander Laura Chun. "Call the High Council," Elias ordered. "We need every leader on Earth to hear this. We make no choice today, but we will make the right one." Hours later, the leaders of Earth gathered by HoloLink. Presidents, generals, scientists, and business leaders filled the screens. Some looked worried. Others looked angry. One leader spoke first. "We cannot survive alone. We must obey." Another shouted back, "Obey. If we do, we become slaves to the Senate." The room filled with arguments. Fear and anger clashed in every word. Elias stood and raised his voice over them all. "We did not come this far to kneel," he said. "We joined the stars as equals. If they fear us now, it is because they see our strength." He paused and looked at every face on the screen. "We must defend that strength, but we must be wise. We cannot rush to war. We cannot bow to fear. We must find another way." The room grew quiet again. The leaders listened. They trusted Elias. He took a deep breath and spoke once more. "I will face the Senate. I will go to Ericos Prime. Let them see that Earth will not back down so easily." The leaders nodded. The choice was made. Elias would carry Earth's answer. But the fight was just beginning. Elias stood in the loading bay of the Valor's Edge, Earth's top diplomatic starship. The ship was small compared to Earth's warships, but it was fast, strong, and made for missions like this. Engineers moved around, checking systems. Soldiers stood ready by the doors. Elias held his small travel pack and looked around one last time. Commander Laura Chun walked up to him. She had served with Elias for many years. She was loyal, sharp, and trusted. "The ship is ready, sir," she said. "Are you sure you want to go alone?" Elias nodded. "We show strength, not fear. A large fleet would only start a fight we don't want yet." Laura frowned but gave a small nod. "Then let me at least come with you." Elias allowed it. Laura was the only one he wanted by his side on this mission. They boarded the ship, and soon the engines roared to life. The ship lifted off, leaving Earth behind. As they reached open space, the stars stretched before them like a river of light. The pilot set course for Ericos Prime, the heart of the Galactic Consual Senate. The journey took 3 days. During that time, Elias and Laura planned their words carefully. They knew Varek would try to trap them. They had to appear strong, but not foolish. Proud, but not dangerous. Finally, they arrived. Ericos, prime hung in space. A massive planet covered in tall silver towers and glowing cities. Dozens of starships floated above it, showing the power of the Senate. The Valor's Edge was guided to a landing dock. Elias and Laura walked down the ramp, greeted by two tall Ericosian guards. Their faces were cold, their silver armor shining under the pale sky. "You will follow us," one guard said. His voice was flat, like he had said these words many times before. They were led through long halls filled with aliens from across the galaxy. Some watched Elias with curiosity. Others looked away, avoiding his eyes. The Senate's threat was no secret. Everyone knew why Earth had come. At last, they entered the great Senate chamber. It was a wide, open space with tall pillars and floating lights. Hundreds of seats circled the room, filled with leaders from dozens of worlds. At the center stood Chancellor Varek. Varek raised his hands to silence the crowd. "Welcome, Captain Elias Kane of Earth," he said, loud enough for all to hear. Elias walked forward, standing alone in the center of the great room. He could feel the weight of every eye on him. "I come in peace," Elias said. His voice was clear and strong. "I come to ask the Senate to lift its order. Earth will not disarm. We stand ready to defend our right to live free among the stars." The chamber grew noisy. Whispers and shouts filled the air. Varek raised his hands again. "You come to ask?" Varek said with a cold smile. "You come with no offer, no promise of change?" Elias held his ground. "We have broken no law. We have harmed no world. Why should we kneel?" Varek walked down the steps, stopping just a few feet from Elias. His voice lowered, but the chamber could still hear every word. "You have done nothing yet," Varek said. "But your weapons, your ships, your new energy tech, they threaten balance. You rise too fast. You will bring war to the stars." Elias took a breath. This was the trap. Earth seeks peace, not war, Elias said firmly. "We ask only to stand as equals." Varek turned to the crowd. "You see? Proud words, but no change. Earth grows bold and dangerous. They refuse to obey. They choose the path of fools." The crowd murmured in agreement. Elias saw the game Varek played. This was not about peace. It was about power. Varek wanted to make Earth look reckless, weak, and stubborn. But Elias stayed calm. "We stand free," Elias said again. "But we do not seek enemies. We offer peace and trade as friends. We ask the Senate to rethink its demand." Varek said nothing. He turned and walked back to his seat. "The Senate will speak," Varek announced. "You will wait for our final word." Elias and Laura were taken to a small waiting chamber. As they sat, Laura spoke in a low voice. "He made us look like fools," she said. Elias nodded. "That was his plan." "What now?" she asked. Elias leaned forward, his eyes dark with thought. "We stay. We watch. We listen. There is something more here. Varek fears us, but why? We need to find out before it's too late." The waiting was not over. The real reason for the Senate's fear was still hidden in the shadows. Elias paced the small chamber. His mind was restless. Laura sat by the window, watching the sky over Ericos Prime. The two had been waiting for hours. No word had come from the Senate. No message. No call. The silence felt like a slow trap closing in. Finally, a soft chime rang on the chamber door. A Senate official stepped in. He was short, with green skin and wide yellow eyes. His name was Karen, one of Varek's assistants. Karen bowed slightly. "The Chancellor has requested more time before his answer," he said. Elias raised an eyebrow. "More time? For what?" Karen looked around, then leaned in closer. "It is not my place to say." Elias stepped toward him. His voice was low but firm. "Then whose place is it?" Karen glanced at the guards standing by the door. He hesitated, then spoke in a whisper. "Not all on the Senate agree with Varek. Some of us believe he fears Earth for other reasons." Elias exchanged a quick look with Laura. "What reasons?" Laura asked quietly. Karen looked down the hall nervously. "Meet me at the East Garden in 1 hour," he whispered. "Come alone." Before Elias could ask more, Karen slipped out of the room. Elias stood in silence for a moment. Then he turned to Laura. "Stay here. Watch for any signs of trouble. Laura nodded. She didn't like it, but she trusted him. 1 hour later, Elias made his way through the Senate halls. He passed guards, officials, and workers. No one stopped him. The East Garden was quiet, filled with tall, glowing trees and soft blue light. Karen stood by a fountain. He looked nervous, glancing around. "You came," Karen said quickly. "Good." Elias crossed his arms. "Start talking." Karen looked down at the water. His voice was soft but tense. "Varric fears Earth's new energy project. You call it Project Helios, I believe." Elias stiffened. Project Helios was Earth's breakthrough energy system. It used star cores to power cities, ships, and even weapons. It made Earth independent, no longer needing the Senate's energy supply or trade routes. Karen continued. "If Earth powers its defense fleet with Helios, no one can stop you. That is what Varric fears. Not war, but losing control over you." Elias narrowed his eyes. "So, this is not about peace." Karen shook his head. "No, it is about power. If you give up your weapons, you stay dependent. If you keep them and use Helios, you become untouchable." Elias felt the truth settle in his chest. Varric didn't care about balance or peace. He cared about keeping Earth weak and easy to control. "Why tell me this?" Elias asked. Karen looked around again. "Because not all of us agree with Varric's rule. Many fear he is pushing too far. If war comes, it will tear the Senate apart." Elias nodded slowly. He had the truth now, but knowing it was not enough. He needed a way to use it. "What will Varric do next?" Elias asked. Karen's face darkened. "He will send a fleet to your world, not to fight, but to scare, to make you surrender without a shot fired." Elias clenched his fists. "And if we don't?" Karen looked into Elias's eyes. "He hopes you will, but if not, he might risk war." Elias took a deep breath. The trap was almost complete. Earth would soon face the Senate's fleet, and the whole galaxy would be watching. But Earth had one advantage Varric didn't know about. Project Guardian. Elias thanked Karen and left the garden. He made his way back to Laura. "We have what we need," he said. Laura stood. "What now?" Elias looked out the window, toward the stars. "We go home," he said. "It's time to show the Senate what Earth is really capable of." He knew the next move would decide Earth's future. There would be no turning back. The Valor's edge broke through Earth's atmosphere like a falling star. The long journey from Ericos Prime was over. But Elias Kane knew the real test was just beginning. Commander Laura Chun stood by his side as the ship landed at Earth's Defense Command. The sky was cloudy, the air heavy with tension. Word of the Senate's demand had spread. News channels, military groups, and common people all asked the same question. Would Earth surrender? Elias wasted no time. He met with the High Council that same night. The leaders of Earth gathered once again, their faces tight with worry. Some looked defeated already. Others burned with anger. Elias stood before them all. He placed his hands on the table and leaned forward. "Varric never wanted peace," he began. His voice was calm, but carried weight. "He wants control. He fears our new energy project. That's why he demands we disarm. He wants Earth weak and easy to rule." The room filled with whispers. Some leaders nodded, their fears confirmed. One leader stood. President Naomi Clark, head of Earth's Global Alliance. She crossed her arms and spoke clearly. "Then what is our move, Captain Kane? We cannot fight the Senate's fleet. We would lose everything." Elias turned to the defense chief, General Riker. "It's time to reveal Project Guardian," Elias said. The general nodded. He pressed a button on the table. A hollow map of Earth appeared. It showed a massive energy shield covering the planet. The leaders leaned forward, their eyes wide. "This is Project Guardian," Riker explained. "A planetary defense shield powered by Helios energy. Strong enough to stop any fleet. Nothing gets in. Nothing touches Earth." The room fell silent. "How long have we had this?" President Clark asked. 2 months, Riker answered. "We waited to reveal it until we had no other choice." Elias stepped forward again. "We won't fire a single shot. We won't invade or threaten anyone. We will activate the shield. We will show the Senate that Earth cannot be bullied." The leaders began to argue. Some feared it would provoke war. Others believed it was their best chance. Elias raised his hand. The room grew quiet again. This is not a threat, Elias said. This is our right to defend ourselves. We offer peace, but we refuse to kneel. President Clark looked at the faces around her. Slowly, she nodded. Do it, she said. Show them. For the next 3 days, Earth prepared. Scientists ran tests on the Helios course. Engineers checked every part of the shield system. Soldiers stood ready, watching the sky. Finally, the warning came. The Senate fleet had entered the solar system. Elias and Laura stood in Earth's Defense Command, watching the fleet approach on the holoscreen. Dozens of ships, large and powerful, filled the void of space. They're coming, Laura whispered. Elias nodded. He turned to the defense chief. Activate Project Guardian, he ordered. The general pressed the command. Across the planet, the ground rumbled. Towers lit up with golden light. The shield began to rise, glowing like a soft blue wall stretching around Earth. The Senate fleet stopped just outside the shield's edge. They had arrived, just as Karen had warned. The final move was about to begin. The people of Earth looked to the sky. News reports filled every screen. People gathered in streets, homes, and halls, their eyes wide with fear and hope. They knew the fleet had arrived. It stretched across the stars like a dark wall, hanging just beyond Earth's new energy shield. The Valor's Edge floated above the shield, acting as Earth's front line. Inside, Captain Elias Kane and Commander Laura Chun watched the Senate fleet move into position. Their ships were large and sleek, their weapons charged, but not firing. They're waiting, Laura said softly. Elias nodded. They want us to break first. The holoscreen flickered. Chancellor Varek's face appeared again, cold and confident. Earth, Varek spoke in a voice that carried both warning and control. You have made your choice clear. But hear me now. You still have time to surrender. Take down your shield. Disarm your fleet. The Senate will allow you to remain under protection if you obey. Elias leaned forward. He kept his voice steady. Earth stands ready to live free, he answered. We offer peace, but we will not kneel. Our shield is up. Our people are safe. We will not surrender. Varek's eyes narrowed. His smile faded. You choose isolation, Varek said darkly. You choose to stand alone in the galaxy. Elias stood tall. We stand on our own feet, not under your heel. The message ended. The screen went black again. Elias turned to Laura. Send the broadcast to the whole planet. Let everyone hear what's coming next. Laura nodded and pressed the controls. Every screen on Earth lit up with Elias's face. His voice echoed through homes, cities, and outposts. People of Earth, Elias began. The Senate's fleet has arrived. They came to scare us. They came to break us. But we stand united. We have built our shield, not to start a war, but to protect our right to live free. He paused for a moment, then continued. The galaxy is watching us now. We choose peace. We choose strength. We will not fire first, but we will not bow. Not today. Not ever. The broadcast ended. In space, the Senate's fleet moved closer. Ships spread out, surrounding Earth's shield. Tension filled every moment. On the Valor's Edge, the crew watched silently. Suddenly, a warning light flashed on the control panel. They're charging weapons, Laura said in a low voice. Elias clenched his fists. They wouldn't dare, he whispered. The fleet's lead ship moved forward. Its weapons glowed, ready to fire. Sir, the weapons officer spoke. They're locking on. Elias raised his hand. Hold fire. Let them see we are not afraid. The ship's weapons fully charged. But then, they stopped. The lights faded. The ship held its position, weapons powered down. All across the fleet, ships began to turn. One by one, they powered down their weapons and pulled back from the shield. Elias and Laura exchanged a look of disbelief. They're standing down, Laura whispered. The holoscreen flickered again. Varek appeared one more time. His face was tight with frustration, but there was something else, respect, or maybe defeat. No shot was fired, Varek said quietly. Earth has shown its choice. You have your shield. You have your power. But know this, you now stand alone. The screen went dark again. The fleet turned fully, retreating into deep space. The threat was over. Elias took a deep breath. He looked down at Earth through the window. We never stood alone, he whispered to himself. Earth had passed the test. The galaxy had watched. The future was now theirs to shape. But Elias knew the story was not over yet. The night sky over Earth glowed with the light of the energy shield. People stood in the streets looking up, waiting, listening. The air was heavy with fear and hope. No one knew what would happen next. Elias Kane stood in Earth's Defense Command, staring at the hollow screen. The Senate's fleet was still there, silent but watching. They had powered down their weapons, but they had not left. Elias knew the Senate was waiting for Earth to make the next move. He turned to Commander Laura Chun. "It's time to speak to the galaxy," he said. Laura gave a firm nod. She opened the broadcast channel. This time, not just Earth would hear. Every member of the Galactic consual would see and hear what Elias had to say. Every planet, every leader, every citizen. Elias stepped onto the broadcast platform. He looked into the camera. The weight of his world rested on his shoulders. He took a deep breath and began to speak. "Citizens of the galaxy, I am Captain Elias Kane of Earth," he began. "Many of you have heard the Senate's demands. You have seen their fleet come to our world. You have heard them call us dangerous, proud, and reckless." Elias paused for a moment, letting his words sink in. "But let me tell you the truth. Earth has never started a war. Earth has never attacked another world. We have done nothing but grow, learn, and build. We have asked for nothing but peace and respect." The image of Earth's glowing shield filled the screen behind him. "We built this shield not to rule, not to conquer, but to protect our right to stand free. The Senate came to scare us. They came to force us to surrender. But we chose to stand firm without firing a single shot." Elias raised his voice, clear and steady. "We will not kneel. We will not bow. But we do not stand alone. We stand with any world that believes in freedom. We offer trade, peace, and partnership to all who seek it. But we will never again let fear decide our future." He leaned closer, his face strong and sure. "We are not your enemy, but we will never be your slaves." The screen went black. The broadcast ended. The silence that followed felt endless. Elias waited, standing still. All of Earth waited with him. Then the messages began to flood in, one after another. Small colonies, independent worlds, even distant systems that had long feared the Senate's control. "We stand with Earth. We hear you. You have given us hope." Elias turned to Laura. She was smiling for the first time in days. "They're listening," she whispered. Elias nodded slowly. "It's the beginning of something new." Hours later, another message came through. It was from Karen, the Senate official who had warned Elias back on Ericos Prime. Karen's face looked tired but proud. "You did what no one believed possible, Captain Kane. You stood without fear. You gave us all a reason to question Varric's rule. The Senate is divided now. You have changed everything." Elias listened carefully. He knew the Senate was wounded but not defeated. Still, this was the shift Earth needed. As the fleet slowly began to pull away, the people of Earth cheered. From the tallest towers to the smallest homes, hope filled the air. Elias stood once again at the window, looking down on the blue planet below. He knew the fight was not over. The galaxy was still full of dangers. But Earth had made its choice, and the galaxy had heard. The morning sky over Earth was brighter than it had been in days. The energy shield still glowed, but the danger had passed. The Senate's fleet had turned away. The ships had left Earth's orbit without a single shot fired. People all over the planet celebrated. Music filled the streets. Families held each other close. Children laughed. The fear that had weighed on the world for weeks had lifted. But Captain Elias Kane knew their work was not finished. He stood again before the High Council. The leaders of Earth looked tired, but there was hope in their eyes. "The Senate may be stepping back," Elias said, "but they are watching. They will wait for us to make a mistake. We need to be ready for anything." President Clark nodded. "And we will be." She stood and faced the council. "Thanks to Project Guardian, Earth is safe for now," she said. "But we must not let fear guide us." Elias is right. We cannot close ourselves off from the galaxy. We must lead by example. We must show them there is another way. The council agreed. Earth would not hide behind its shield. It would reach out to other worlds, offer peace, and build new partnerships. Over the next few days, messages continued to arrive from across the stars. Small colonies in distant worlds sent words of support. Many had long feared the Senate's control, but had never dared to speak out. Until now. Elias read the messages one by one. Some were simple greetings. Others were offers of trade or friendship. But all carried the same message. You have given us hope. Commander Laura Chun stood beside Elias in the command center. We started something bigger than we thought, she said softly. Elias nodded. We stood alone, but now we're not alone anymore. He turned to the window and looked out at the stars. The future was still uncertain. The Senate still held great power. But something had changed. The galaxy had seen Earth stand. Other worlds had seen that courage could beat fear. And it had all started with one choice: refusing to kneel. That evening, Elias walked through the streets of New Geneva, Earth's new capital. People smiled and greeted him as he passed. He felt their pride, their relief, and their trust. He stopped at a small park and looked up at the stars. He knew Earth's journey was far from over. There would be more battles ahead, not just of ships and weapons, but of ideas and choices. Elias smiled to himself. Earth was ready. He was ready. And the galaxy would never forget what had happened here. The story of Earth's stand was only the beginning of a new age. But for now, the people of Earth could rest easy. The shield held. The people stood free. The future was theirs to shape.